Hi, I want to thank you for joining me. And today's topic is going to be one that I think many of you can relate to, either as an operator of food service operations or as simply a consumer of them, right? I think at various times we've all gone to fast food places, fast casual, fine dining, cafeterias, a variety of kitchen-based environments. And these all share now a common thread, which is security issues, right? We are in an era today of connected kitchens. Many food service operators gain both productivity and profitability from having deployed these systems. Now let's focus into how we secure them. So that's really today's topic. And I want to thank you for joining us, and feel free to raise questions during the chat. We'll try to address them before we end today. And if not, feel free to follow up afterwards. I'm John Gallagher, shown on the screen, and I can be reached either through LinkedIn or just john.gallagher@viaku.com. So with that, I want to thank you again, and let's just dive into today's topic. We're going to talk about what I would call the security crisis that's unfolding. Actually, let me pause that just for a second. I'm going to have to add a different slide set here. My apologies, and just give me one moment. Let me go ahead and post that as best I can here. Hold on. And we are just going to pause for a second, and I'm going to have to bring up the slide deck, which didn't seem to get loaded properly. My apologies for that. In the meantime, what I would advise is go to viaku.com, have a sense of what our technology offering is. I'd encourage you, of course, to do this either before or after presentation. But most importantly, once you go there, feel free to go to the upper right corner of our website. And what it'll show you there, I'm sorry, had a few technical issues here. Let me go back to our main stage here. So yeah, if you go to viaku.com, what you're going to find is a very easy to navigate website. And most importantly, the upper right corner, ask for a demo, request a demo. That'll put you into direct contact with some of our IoT and cyber physical security system experts. So again, today we'd like to focus on securing the connected kitchen, the food operation issues that we just talked about. In general, right, IoT security has moved to the front of the line for many organizations. In fact, we did a survey. I'll provide the link towards the end of the webinar here. We did a survey late last year and into early this year, and it looked at a variety of IT organizations, typically above 1,000 people and larger scale companies. And what we found is that 100% of them, of course, have network connected IoT devices, and 100% don't believe that they have effective IoT security. And in fact, half of them think that IoT security is actually the weakest part of their overall corporate security, the thing that contributes most to organizational risk. And why is that, and what do we see here? Some of the factors, again, sorry for the formatting. I will try to redo this a little bit later, but effectively the issues come down to severity, right? We all heard about the Colonial Pipeline shutdown. We saw Tesla factory in China having its cameras hacked. Even St. Jude cardiac pacemaker devices have been hacked. So the severity of what can happen when a malicious hacker gains access to an IoT device is pretty severe. The scale, of course, is what brings them, right? The scale, they're everywhere and they're growing. And the number of cyber attacks against them has as well. And so, 22% in our survey found that the attacks that they had on their organization based on IoT or OT devices were serious or disrupting of their overall business operations. Clearly a warning sign. costs have been increasing, right? MGM last year had a major IoT security breach, costing them well over $100 million. And the average cost of a breach now has exceeded 4.5 million and continues to rise. And of course, the impact is substantial. It costs people sales, it costs them reputation, and it's the most preventable part in many ways of what's happening. So again, that's what we're here to talk about today: how to prevent them, how to get the best kind of security for your connected kitchen. And in a connected kitchen today, there's many types of IoT devices that are network connected, right? Automated machinery to do some of the food preparation, temperature monitoring, very critical for food safety, is an important IoT system that's often used. Store operations of many kinds, scheduling, inventory management, point of sale systems, kiosks, and so forth. So actually getting the customer's needs met and doing it as productively as possible and bring your organization the revenues from it. That's critical IoT infrastructure that makes that happen. And of course, customer and employee safety, the overall, all of your stakeholders, frankly. And whether it's systems, our partner Altronics, for example, has a product line used for measuring how long somebody's been in a restroom. Could be potential overdose or other situations that you need to be alerted to. Security cameras, which are pervasive in all sorts of food service establishments, access control systems, etc. Those are all prominent examples of IoT, but there's many others as well. So think of your own operations and your own systems and what you rely on. And my guess is the vast majority will be considered as IoT or OT, operational technology systems. So at Viaku, that's really the part of the security market that we focused on for quite some time with very purpose-built technology to address it. We shrink the attack surface essentially how it was created, one application at a time. We take and I'll go through our architecture and how we approach the connected kitchen security issues. But we do a few things and do them very, very well. One is we do discovery. So asset discovery and application and network discovery. It's what we call our direct query manager and direct query discovery. And that provides the highest accuracy. We're not inferring the existence of devices through network traffic. We're actually directly seeing and touching and evaluating those devices and bringing in all of that rich data as to what applications they're connected to, how they communicate across networks, and therefore giving you a rich set of data to then approach the security issues of them. We also do the functional cyber hygiene that's needed to both remediate the devices and maintain their overall security posture. It's things like firmware updates. So as soon as a vulnerability is known within a system, typically manufacturers try to get a patch or an update out to prevent that vulnerability from causing a breach. We enable automated and at scale implementation of that patch, likewise of certificates, which enable encryption of traffic and enable device authentication, and also passwords, a very basic security mechanism that's used pretty much in every system. And so having a method of rotating and updating those passwords quickly is what we provide. And finally, compliance, right? All organizations that we work with, but in particular, customer-facing and food safety-related organizations have very strict compliance requirements and data tracking and data requirements to ensure that the ongoing maintenance of both security and food safety is taking place. Viaku's technology directly helps you to address those compliance and audit and data reporting needs. And we do this across a large number of customers in pretty much every vertical that's out there. Thankfully, IoT security isn't a vertical specific need. Every organization these days uses IoT, and therefore every organization has some degree of security risk or attack surface growth that's coming from it. So we've really taken to heart the lessons we've learned from these large organizations and very skilled security practitioners and tried to make a product and a capability that can be used very easily within a variety of, again, multiple verticals. And I'll get into here in a moment physically how we are deployed and operate. And just to give you kind of a sense as to some of our differences, because you will come across other IoT security capabilities, we don't think they're as comprehensive or as data and accuracy oriented as our solution is. But some of the differentiating factors around what we do. So again, the approach that we take around discovery is quite unique and really very comprehensive. So for both what we would call tightly coupled, and I'll describe that in a moment, environments with applications and devices very tightly coupled to one another, or loosely coupled individual actor type devices that are just doing their job. We will discover and evaluate and bring you a rich set of attributes around them. We also help you with a very focused approach to which assets and which applications are the ones to prioritize and take attention to first. We remove the guesswork, from questions around what is connected to what and who's operating with who. We also do a software-only deployment. There's no hardware ever deployed to make Viaku operate, and so we will work with a variety of systems out of the box. And there's no data entry and no real need to maintain a team to simply run our product. We do our job, and we do it in a very seamless and straightforward way. It's a cloud-based SaaS application, and we can also be deployed on premises if so required. And the end result is that you can then remediate and manage the compliance of all of your devices without having to have VPN access, without having to have any extensive setup or deployment requirements. It's really that straightforward. And again, that's why I'd encourage you, go to our website, go to the upper right corner, click on Request a Demo, because that's really the best way to see how clean and simple our environment is. And so, as I mentioned, right, when we take a look at the attack surface related to IoT, it's of course growing and massive. But how should you look at it, right? One of the ways is to start looking at how they're being attacked, right? And that's some of the examples shown here: DDoS attacks, disabling security controls, data loss, data exfiltration, and so forth. But how they get there is through the structure. And the structure that we see most often is what we would call application based ones, right? Things that have applications using devices. In the enterprise, and especially in connected kitchens, that's directly what we see as being how IoT plays out. IoT is applications that use devices. And so when you see those devices and you see the attacks that could be created with them, also take into account the applications. And the applications will tell us a lot of information about the device. That's why we avoid going through inference-based approaches. We do direct query to the applications, to the devices, and to the networks. And from that, we will see then how the devices are operating, and we'll see that within the hidden subnets that typically they're set up on, right? My guess is your organization has set up your stores, your food service operations in such a way that they can't be pinged outside from the broad internet. Great, that's clearly a best practice and clearly should be maintained. How do you then secure it without that access? That's some of the special, call it secret sauce, that we've developed at Viaku to make that happen. We're fully agentless as well. You never have to place software onto the devices. That's very important for two key reasons. One is the scale that we've talked about, right? How much IoT real estate you have. It vastly, I'm going to say 10 to 20x the number of IT systems that you would have within your organization. And so therefore, having an agentless approach where you don't have to put software on devices is important. The other part, of course, is that those devices don't accept agents. They're using unique operating systems. They're not Windows or Linux in a pure sense, and you can't just load software onto them. So having an approach that doesn't require software to be deployed onto devices, an agentless approach, is critical. And that's what we do, of course, offer here. And that leads us to then having an approach which is independent of the device itself, allows us to scale broadly across different subnets, and to be able to take global action from a central point, a central console. You're able to take action within each and every of these subnets in each and every of these systems. So it really allows policy, global policy and compliance to be performed at a single seat of operation. And as I mentioned earlier, right, the key thing to take away is every IoT system should be viewed as to what is it connected to and how does it do its job. Some of them, of course, can be loosely coupled, right? They're just individual sensors doing their job, generating data. But others are a real workflow. It's a tightly coupled environment of devices, applications, and network that all work together to make an outcome happen, a business outcome. In the case of a food service operation, it might be food being served to the customer. It might be food being prepped properly. It might be things being stored in a way that maintains their health integrity. So those tightly coupled workflows, which we see predominant within connected kitchen environments, that's really where we shine. That's where our direct query, our performance capabilities, service assurance, and ability to remediate at scale is quite unique. And we see these environments, these tightly coupled environments, literally everywhere within business operations, and again, including in food service operations. And here's an example of how we would deploy within a typical food service or back of house to have direct query remediation and service assurance take place. We simply put what we call software actors. Oops, sorry about that. Software actors within the environment. Let's call it a restaurant. From there, everything else is done automatically. It's again a software only deployment, done once, very easy. It doesn't require any inbound internet port to be opened. It's outbound only, no VPN required. There's never scanning that takes place. So devices sometimes have security measures that if somebody's pinging them repeatedly, it'll shut off that device or it'll shut off the network connection. We're never triggering those innate security capabilities of those devices. So everything is maintained at a safe and secure level. We encrypt everything from beginning to end. So there's never a point at which should a threat actor have presence in your network that they could see any of the network traffic or data that's being brought through. And the last thing I'll highlight is that we operate in a very clean way. We don't ever take cycles away from other critical applications. We actually definitionally use the idle cycles, so we're never impacting the performance or the operations of your security functions. And the deployment that I just mentioned brings you a number of capabilities, right? It brings you the direct query manager that I mentioned. We have a product called Device Firmware Manager, DFM. We have DPM, Device Password Manager, DCM, Device Certificate Manager. And we also do service assurance and IoT device tracking. All of these can be done together, or you could choose individual modules. This is a platform-based approach, what we call the Viaku Action Platform. And these modules that rest on the platform, again, can be chosen as individual capabilities, or can be all part of an overall flow within your company. So once you start to find new needs, very likely the Viaku Action Platform has the capability you need to continue improving your security situation. I mentioned at the very beginning, we did a very in-depth survey beginning of this year and into the end of last year. And I'd encourage you to go download that. It's actually, if you're here on this webinar to learn some things about IoT security in general, this really is a great compilation of what we learned from going out to several large organizations and getting their input and getting it in a way that gave us a pretty good picture as to where the state of IoT security is in 2024. So that may help guide some of your efforts. We've also put together some additional information specific to connected kitchens. We have a nice infographic that talks about the different stages of how you approach securing a connected kitchen. I would go to our landing page here that shows focus on exactly what we do and how we do it for these systems. And so as we're coming up here to the top of the hour, I just want to thank you, encourage you to feed any questions or comments back to us at Viaku. You can use the chat function even on our website, or again, through LinkedIn, you can reach me, or at john.gallagher@viaku.com. So with that, I'd like to thank you. Thank you for joining today, and thank you most importantly for paying attention to this issue, because it really directly affects every organization. And the more attention you pay to this, the better your security posture is, the lower the risk, and the better actually your organization is going to be at delivering great quality and delicious food to the masses and to people like me. So best of luck with your efforts, and feel free to reach out. We'd love to help you improve your security situation. Thanks again, and best of luck in those efforts. Thanks.